Hey everyone, welcome to Cosmic Creations. If you don't know me yet, I'm an artist who loves to draw creatures, especially dragons, and I'm guessing that's what you're here for. And today I'm working on a dragon, and this dragon is gonna have fur instead of scales. If you want to draw this dragon yourself, I also have a video up in which I draw the outline. So if you want to draw him entirely, I recommend you start here. But if you just want to know how I draw the fur on the dragon, then you can then you're just good with this video. And if you want to know more about drawing the fur, I do have a tutorial on drawing fur up on my Patreon. On my Patreon I have a library with tutorials about drawing scales and drawing furs and other textures that might be helpful for your creatures, so feel free to visit me there as well. Well, first we need to know in which direction the fur is gonna be layered. And I'm looking at pictures of camels and llamas. And I start really light. And here we have the nose bridge. So with very light ovals, I'm going to shade in a shadow here. And I'm making really light lines to show the direction of the fur. And if you don't know what direction that is, just Google some camels or llamas or whatever creature you want to use as inspiration for your dragon. The hair is on the head is gonna be a bit shorter than the hair that's on the body. And this is a dragon that's gonna live in the colder regions, like the tundras and the snowy regions. Something fell out. Again, we need to know the direction of the fur. And I make some really light lines to help me with that, because all the shading we're gonna do in the direction of the fur. In the first layers, they are going to be very light ovals. and I shade that across the lines. We just put down the lines that will help us. And I do pay attention where the areas need to be a little bit darker, so below the eye it goes a bit inwards because of the eye sockets and of the cheekbones here. So that will be more in the shadow, so that will be darker. But later on we're gonna, at the end of the drawing, we're gonna go really into the details and into the final shading layers. So we can add most of the contrast then. I hope you're not bothered by all the noise from outside, because yeah, some people are working in their garden and such, and they need to do their things as well, and I don't have like a soundproof studio or something. I'm just a poor artist. I'm happy enough that I have a place to live, so, and that I have a place to do my art. And I'm using a ballpoint pen. This one is a special edition that my friend Crystal gave to me. I'm not sure if he still has them, but you can check his page on Instagram, and he's also on YouTube. But you can do this with any ballpoint pen. And you could also use this technique with pencil, so if you're drawing along, just use whatever you prefer and what you are comfortable drawing with. Don't worry about your first layer not being even, because that will only add to the realism, because with fur there will be shadows in the fur and it will reflect light and color. So it's very natural for fur not to be very solid. I do add some wrinkles here for the eyelids. And what I do now is I make very short tapered lines. So I use a little bit more pressure when I start the line, and I lift the pen towards the end. It's kind of like eyelashes, the shape of an eyelash. So the hairs, they are a little bit more thick than at the base than they are at the end. By placing them all together in the direction of the fur, you slowly start to get the texture that we're after. then if you like drawing creatures like me, it would make me really happy if you would subscribe to my channel and like my videos if you enjoyed them, because it really helps a channel like mine grow. And yeah, I'm really happy with everyone who is here. Because I sometimes just forget to mention to subscribe and such. But yeah, like I said, it would make me really happy. And not just because I want to grow a channel, but also because it's starting to become like a creature drawing community. And to me that's very valuable, especially in times like this. You know, we have our art and we connect through art. I'm going to draw in a little bit the lips here, because the lips, they won't have hair. And every time when we want to darken an area and shade more, we're going to use the ovals again. And as long as you work very light, even when you draw in the hairs with a little bit more pressure, but keep it light enough that you don't flatten the paper, because the paper, it has a texture, and the texture of the paper decides how much ink it can hold. So if you keep that texture intact, you can add more layers. But if you use too much pressure, you close the teeth of the paper and you cannot fit in any more ink. And at some point, even when you work very light, your paper will be completely saturated with the ink. But we aim for as much layers as possible with drawing fur. If I'm not making any sense, please let me know in the comments, because I find it very difficult to talk and draw at the same time. But it is something that I want to learn and need to practice as well. So if you have any tips or comments on that, please let me know, because here we learn from each other. And please keep in mind that this is a sketch, it's a concept, it's an idea that we're working on. So we're not aiming for a fully rendered final piece. And you can see the texture appearing now. It slowly is starting to click. Again, we're gonna decide on the lines of for the direction of the fur, and this is going to be the fur towards the horn. And while we're working on a drawing, we constantly go back to other parts to add some contrast, because when we're shading and drawing in layers, we lose a little bit of the contrast, and we want to keep that here and there. So then you just go back to a part that you already did. Like, there is not really a rule that you need to finish one pass first before you can continue on the other. I usually just work all over the place. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how you work, it's your process. Because sometimes you feel like you're kind of stuck in one area. And that's okay. Then you just work on a different area, and while you're working on that, it will come to you. I'm going to shade with light ovals here. It's just the first layer. And if you're doing this with a pencil, I would recommend every time you do the layer with the light ovals, or you have a couple of layers, you can use like a small dry brush or paintbrush or something, and you can blend those layers together, and it will give a really soft effect, which is really nice for the first couple of layers of your fur texture. And again, we use the tapered lines. Just think of them like eyelashes that you're drawing in. And you can already guess that if you do this, it will take a while, and that is why I usually don't do this much detail into my sketches. But I wanted to show you how I draw first. And it is fun to do every now and then, to make a drawing in my sketchbook which has some more detail to it than the other ones. And here it will, the horns will come out of the fur. So I have some tiny hairs sticking out on the nose. The fur on the nose will be really soft, so I'm gonna shade that in really, really light. And if you want to know more about how I draw with pencils, because you prefer working with that, just let me know in the comments, because I can make tutorials for that as well if you want. And here the hairs will be shorter, so it's almost more like very tiny dots that we're drawing in. And now I'm gonna shade with some light ovals, and it's just to add in some more of the shadows. You can see now that we drew in the top part of the head that we need to go a bit darker here. We're gonna do that with, again, as you may have guessed, light ovals, and over that layer we're gonna add more of the tapered lines. And if you want, when you're finished with your drawing, you can grab a white gel pen and add some white hairs in between, like the hairs that reflect some of the light. It's a bit fuzzy here where the horns come out. Well, here below this, the jaw is gonna be really dark, but first I want to shade in the horns, give them a little bit more texture. So what I'm doing right now, I'm working on the head, and then I'm gonna slowly work my way down. And I have a scrap piece of paper on the side, because with ballpoint pen you will collect some residue of the ink on the top of the pen, and I make sure to clean that on a scrap piece of paper every now and then, because otherwise you'll get like a blob on your paper and you never know when it's gonna fall off. And even when that happens, it's not that big of a deal. Add a little bit more texture. Yeah, it is my dream to one day have an art studio. My plans for Cosmic Creations are, I really hope to learn digital art, so I can work on my creatures digitally as well, and then I can continue in Photoshop or something, and hopefully I can do commissions when I'm more skilled in digital art, because at the moment I'm not taking on many commissions. I do it, but it's rare, because I'm focusing on learning myself, and I know my dragons are very popular, but yeah, if I would want to make them as book illustrations or something, I do want to be more I don't know how to say that, versatile, more yeah, I think digital art would be more suitable if I would want to sell them as illustrations for books or something, or take on commissions, but that's just how I feel about it. And I hope you don't mind my ramblings, but I know there are many artists here, and if you want to share with me what you do with your art, is it your hobby or do you hope to make it your work someday? I would love to hear that, because like I said earlier, it feels like it's a community here. I'm very lucky to have you all here. And someone a while back, someone said to me, "Oh, your Instagram account is really big," and I'm like, it's weird, but it doesn't feel that big. And I think that is because it feels like a community. It doesn't feel like I'm the one with many followers. No, it feels like we are together, and we love art, we love creatures, we love dragons, and it's just a very large group of people with similar interests together. That is how I feel about my Instagram and my YouTube channel. We come together to do art and to be creative and to share our knowledge. And when I look at the time, maybe I should do this in a couple separate videos. I'm not sure, because I know my videos can be very long and people may not watch that. But I also know that if I make a real-time video in which I can explain more what I do, and some people want to draw along with me, and that is how they learn, and I don't want to take that away for views, you know what I mean? So I do occasionally do a real-time video like this, and yeah, it can be boring to people. I do get that. Or maybe I just cut some parts out, but we'll see. I'm gonna give a little bit of texture. The horn on the that is further away on the other side of the dragon, we're gonna give it a little bit less detail, because that will add to the effect that it's further from us. Do shade it a bit more here. If you want the other horn to stand out more, we just gonna emphasize that line here. And when we're finished, we're gonna go back and add more shading in the head. Now I want to go here down the neck. With the first sketch, I already made some of the guidelines, so I already know the direction of the fur here. And I'm gonna shade with again very light ovals. But I make them a little bit longer. You can do just lines as well, but for me, when I make lines, they kind of have starting points, and they will make a dot like this. If I do like this, I'm not sure if you see it, and then you're already drawing hairs, and I want it to be a layer. And here is the throat. So our hairs are going towards the back of the dragon. So this is the neck, and here is the throat, and they are going to the direction of these hands are going to be more downwards. If you're drawing along with this one and you're posting it to social media, feel free to tag me, because I really love to see when you use my videos for inspiration or you're doing my tutorials, and I like seeing your results, because it really means so much to me that people feel inspired by my dragons. I think as an artist, it is a huge honor when people are inspired by you. Again, I do really nice ovals, and don't worry if it's not a solid layer, when it's not even, and because we're gonna work in layers, so it will only add to the realism of the fur. And yes, I say realism with dragons because I do want them to look real. Like I said, if you want to go even more into detail and more in depth with drawing a texture like this, I do have a tutorial up on my Patreon. But also, if you just want to know more about my work and see a little bit more of my process, there is also a free membership on my Patreon next to the paid tier. And you're very welcome to join that as well if you don't want to. I understand, like, we, in these times we cannot always afford something like that. I totally get it. And then you're still very welcome as a free member, and there is also content for free members. I always try to make sure that free members feel welcome as well. And I always feel so shy in promoting things like that, but, well, I hope you don't mind. But I do think, even as a free member, it can be helpful if you want to know more about the process and just look at the pictures. It can still help your work as well. Here I'm gonna put an extra layer because that part is gonna be in the shadows. And I keep shading with the ovals. Sometimes you hear my stomach, I hope you don't really notice, but What I like about the ballpoint pen, you can go really dark where you're needed to be really dark. And these are still the base layers that I'm shading right now. They look messy, and that's okay. The point is that we're going lighter towards this side of the dragon. And now it's time to start drawing in the hairs. I start at a random point. I'm going to draw in the throat first, I think, because that is where the hairs kinda meet from this side and the left side. And again, I'm using tapered lines, but I do them slightly longer than the fur on the head of the dragon. And because the fur is a bit longer here, it will be more like less neat, because we didn't brush the dragon. So I'm gonna draw in like little upside down V shapes and things like that. And this will actually add in a shadow in the fur, as you can see. I'm gonna draw one here as well. And here and there we're gonna make sure that we show the shadows in the fur. You can also imagine if there could be like little clumps of dirt in it, or snow, or when the fur is a little bit wet, then it kind of clumps together. And with making textures like this, like the shapes, we kind of mimic that texture. And it will add to the realism of your drawing. At the dark areas, I do need to use quite a lot of pressure to still get the fur lines in, but it still works. We still have some tubes of the paper left. And at the side of the neck, some hairs will be sticking out like this. And we keep working in the direction of the fur. And if you worry about like the spines disappearing, or you lose contrast, you can go in later with a white gel pen to add some more of the white highlights. And the hair is going to be longer towards the chest, and the main reason for that is because I like it, because I want him to look like that. So if you want your dragon to have shorter hairs or longer hairs, feel free to do so. It's your creature, so. And usually I work all over the place, but with textures like this I work in sections. You know, when I look at this dragon, I kind of want to pet him. I think the fur will feel really soft. And when you do the tapered lines, it might look a little bit off. But the fun thing is you can keep adding shadows and layers until it feels right to you. Because this part I'm gonna add more shading, so it's gonna be a lot darker. I'm adding some more so hairs that are sticking out. And here we're gonna have some of the upside down V shapes as well, or they're kind of like a wishing bone, you could call it like that as well. Well, I'm gonna leave it at this for now. I'm gonna finish the dragon at another moment. So I hope this video was helpful to you in any way. If so, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye!